Today's topic is investment decisions. Let's start with an example. Let's say we have a business which have a life of 5 years. So let's discuss some of the outflows and inflows in the business. At initial stage, which is at year 0, the initial investment is an outflow, and at year 0 or at first year end or second year end, we'll have to incur subsidy as an outflow. And coming to working capital, let us suppose we are starting a business. The suppliers asked us to deposit a 20,000 for supplying goods and services throughout the life of the project. At the end of the project, the suppliers are going to refund the amount of working capital we have initially invested. So this is the aspect of working capital, and there may be a requirement of subsequent cash flows which combinedly result to overall cash outflows. As we know what are the cash outflows, let us discuss about cash inflows. By the investment we have made at the year, we have certain inflows. Those are cash flows after tax at the first year end, at the second year end, at the third year end, at the fourth year end, and at the fifth year end. Inflows which we receive every year, and there are two inflows that we realize at the end of the project, that is sale of scrap of asset and working capital realized. As we have discussed, initially we have deposited some working capital with the suppliers, that is realized. Now as we know both inflows and outflows, now we'll calculate net present value. Let's understand what are the components of net present value. First we have particulars, year, PV factor, amount, and present value. Let's understand what is PV factor. PV factor is a mathematical expression that represents value of future cash flows at a specific discount rate and for a given time period. It essentially quantifies how much a future cash flow needs to be reduced to its present value. The core concept behind NPV is the time value of money, and this concept recognizes that value of money changes over time. Money received in future is not worth as money received today due to the factors like inflation, opportunity cost, and risk. Let's understand. We have received rupees 1 at the first year end. Now we want to know what is the value of 1 rupee at the starting of the year. So the inflation rate is 10%. So the value of 1 rupee received at the first year end, if we discount it to the present value, which means the value is 0.909. So it indicates that 1 rupee received at the first year end is equal to 0.909 received at the starting of the year, which indicates there are time factor, there is inflation factor included in that. And money received earlier is generally considered more valuable because it can be invested, used, or protected from the eroding effects of inflation, making it worth more than the same amount received later. So let's start with outflows. Initial investment, as the PV factor is 1, so it will be, for suppose 10 lakhs into 1, which is 10 lakhs, and subsidiary, if it is multiplied with PV factor, it can be 1 or 0.909. As we have discussed, the subsidy can be received at the initial year or at the first year end. So based on that, we'll get present values of cash outflows, and in the same way we'll get the present value of cash inflows. Now the main aspect is, as we have got present values, what is the net present value? What is the meaning of net? So the net present value is to decide whether the project must be accepted or rejected on the basis of difference between present value of cash inflows and present value of cash outflows. If the NPV is greater than 0, which means if the NPV is positive, then accept the project, and if NPV is negative, which means that present value of cash outflows are more than present value of cash inflows, so we can reject the project